right. Well, now that we finally get going here, I think, of course they call me Coach Dave. I don't know why, but I guess they do. And for those of you who may not be familiar with an accordion, this is a digital accordion. Now, this accordion does not play polkas. This accordion does not play ethnic music, does not play stereotype accordion music. Well, Coach Dave, what's left? What's left is all the great tunes from the 20th century and the Great American Songbook, played in what I like to call a little light jazz style. So, first tune you heard, a little tune called Anything Goes, and I figure that's kind of appropriate for this kind of music because anything goes. You never know what you're going to hear. And you might hear me play a song 100 times, it'll never be the same twice. So what I'm going to do now is take care of a little housekeeping, besides trying to get the microphone to work. As you probably know, we lost a great vocalist less than 2 weeks ago. The last of the great crooners. Sinatra's gone, Mel Torme's gone, Dean Martin's gone. They're all gone. And of course, Tony Benedetto, we knew him as Tony Bennett, was the last of the great crooners. So just how about one quick chorus of San Francisco for Tony. San Francisco for Tony. That song is actually written around 1953, and not much happened to it. In the early 60s, Tony's career was on the downslide, and his son took over his management. And shortly after that, he recorded San Francisco, and as they say, the rest was history. Of course, they used to have events in San Francisco, and they would bring him in every year just to sing that song. So Tony Bennett no longer with us, but he made it to 95, so I guess there's still hope for some of us. So I'm going to try to break that record. Let's see what we can do. All right, moving on to other tunes. This next tune came from a show, 1928, and the name of the show was Whoopee. So when it shows Whoopee, oh, I don't know, let's make some whoopee. Oh, there's Louis.
Hey, Louis.
All right. Okay, little bacon whoopee.
No focus today, Jim. We only want you out.
I've already told. Making whoopee. Well, this next tune, I'm going to slow it down a little bit. And one of my favorite tunes, I think this is one of the prettiest songs ever written in 1953 by a piano player, great jazz piano player named Errol Garner. Now, Errol Garner actually came from Pittsburgh. Now, when you think of Pittsburgh, you think of steel mills and all that stuff, but I guess a lot of the great jazz players came out of Pittsburgh. Of course, he was one of them. And the song was written as an instrumental. There were no words to it. And then they put words in some little singer named Johnny Mathis in 1958. Had a huge, probably the biggest hit of his career, had a huge hit on Misty. Speaking of people who are no longer with us, this next song also lost, we lost the subject, shall we say, of this song. Now, back in the late 50s, early 60s was big Brazilian invasion of the bossa nova and all those great Latin tunes. And of course, probably the biggest hit of all, written by a fellow named Antonio Carlos Jobim. I don't say that. Antonio Carlos Jobim. He wrote several of them, but probably the biggest one was about that girl from Ipanema. And word on the street is she was actually a TV reporter, and he used to see her walking by wherever he was every day going to the beach. Well, I did hear last week she also is no longer with us. Is no longer a girl from Ipanema. So let's do the song anyway, if that's all right. Ipanema. Well, this next song, I'm glad Louis showed up, because he's asked me to play this song several times. So this is for you, Louis. Little tune. This was kind of like the big go-to jazz tune in the late 50s and early 60s, written by a fellow named Neil Hefti. Neil Hefti was a trumpet player with Count Basie Orchestra. Now, all the big bands had great players, but the Count Basie Orchestra had the top cream of the crop. And Neil Hefti wrote several tunes, and of course this was probably his biggest one. A little tune called, well, this is for all the ladies because it's called Cute. Who don't know him, sitting right over there is Louis Howes, a very fine accordion player in his own right. Louis, thank you for coming down. By the way, Corey played this accordion the other day, but he didn't leave any DNA on it, so I don't know. But I thought what I would do now is take a minute or so and just introduce the members of the band. So on piano is Pete. Pete's on piano. And of course we have electric piano. I hit the right button. I've only had this thing about 10 days, so. And of course we have Vinny on vibes. And on what we call jazz scat, we have Jenny. And we have strings. Steve is on strings. And of course we have organ. Ollie's on organ. And in the left hand, we have our rhythm section. We have Barry on bass and Danny on drums. So with all these buttons to push, if you hear some funny squeaks and squawks, it's not me. It's the accordion. It's definitely the accordion. Wouldn't be me. So, all right. So we got cute. All right. Actually, let's feature Jenny. Jenny on the jazz scat on this next tune called "All of Me" from 1931. Well, thought I'd do a country tune for you folks. Anybody here ever been to oh, I can't think of the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville? No, well, they have a special room dedicated to Patsy Cline. And when you walk into that room, I think you probably know the song I'm going to play. And this song was written by a fellow named Hugh Nelson, who went on to become Willie Nelson. And the word on the street is that Hugh happened to run into Patsy Cline's husband in, shall we say, an establishment that served alcoholic beverages. And he gave the tune to Patsy Cline's husband. Again, the story goes, he took it home and she hated it. Didn't want to do it, wanted nothing to do with it. So as they say, cooler heads provided, and this was around 1960, and of course we lost her in the plane crash, and it was either like 61 or 62, but she did have her probably biggest hit. And you know, it's funny, I was playing this tune on a gig a while back, and this fellow walks by me and he points at me and he says, "Crazy." Now I don't know if he was talking about the tune or me, but anyway, tune is called Crazy. I consider that the best country song ever written. It's just a great, great tune. And I guess Hugh did pretty well on that too. So. Well, we're going back to around 1925 for this next tune. Now, I don't know if how many of you folks heard of a fellow named Les Paul, guitar player Les Paul. Well, he was also a great innovator in recording, and his wife was Mary Ford, and she was the vocalist. Now, he would play the instrumental part on guitar, then she would sing the song, and he would overdub what he had played. And then they would go back and play another track, and she would sing a harmony to what she sang. And by the time they were through, they had 4 or 5 tracks, and that was like a new innovation way back when on that type of recording. So they had several tunes, and this tune, even though it was 1925, was one of the tunes they actually just did that with. It's called Bye Bye Blues. So here we go. Thank you. I'm a big fan of the Duke Ellington Orchestra. They wrote a lot of great tunes. And he had some help in writing these tunes. He had hired a fellow who was a piano player. Well, playing backup piano to Duke and Duke's band is like playing backup quarterback to Tom Brady. You're not going to play, But fortunately, Billy Strayhorn was also a great songwriter. And this is also a song that Lewis liked me to play. But when they were first getting together, Duke had a place in Harlem, and Billy Strayhorn says, how do I get there? And Duke says, well, there's a brand new train that goes right up to Harlem. It's called the A train, so just take the A train. And if you listen closely, you might even hear that train. All right, this next tune is another slow one. This was originally written as a country song. It was written by a young lady named Cindy Walker, and she was friends or buddies or something with Eddie Arnold. Remember Eddie Arnold from the '50s? Great country vocalist. And one day he said, "Cindy, I need a song." She says, "Okay, I'll write one for you." And this, well, we already know that Crazy is the best country song ever written, but this might get in the top 5. And actually, if you go on the interweb, you'll find a lot of vocalists singing this tune. Not really as country, but it's just a pretty ballad. So I'll kind of, mix it up a little bit. Pretty tune called "You Don't Know Me." Don't know. You don't know. Katie, I threw some jazz chords in there too. But that okay?
All good.
All right. Okay. Well, past few minutes you've been listening to me play tunes my way. And around 1968, 1969, Paul Anka was in France, Paris, and he heard a song, and he loved it. Of course, it was in French, but the melody and everything, he just loved the song. So he bought all the copyrights and all the music to the song, and he brought it to Hollywood. And as with Crazy, he was having an adult beverage with some guy named, I can never think of this, it wasn't well known, Frank, help me with this, Frank, who was a big singer named Frank? Oh, Sinatra, yeah, I can never think the guy's name. And so we played the song for Frank Sinatra. And again, there's two different versions of the story, but the one is the same as with Crazy. Frank hated it. I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I'll bet he was happy that he did take the song and play it, well, my way. to Duke Ellington's Caravan, I always close my shows with that song because Ernestine loves that song. Because as soon as she hears me getting into it, she starts packing up. And by the time I finish the song, she's got everything packed up in the car or the van, and she's blowing the horn. So I know why you all came here today, and she's sitting right there in the back row. So we're going to bring her up and do a few little housekeeping things here and present the star of our show. So here she comes. I'm going to leave the stage and join you folks and just sit and listen to this young lady. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
Thank you so much. Let's have another round of applause for Coach D. And a round of applause for our next artist joining us today, my lovely, lovely mother, Joan Hurwitz. She'll be coming on the stage now. So keeping with the theme of bird songs, there's a lyric in one of the songs, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, that has the words bluebirds. And we're going to be doing Somewhere Over the Rainbow for you. So listen out for bluebirds as she sings it. This is my mom's public debut in a long time, I think. So I hope you enjoy.
There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I wish upon a star to wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Someday I wish upon a star to wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why, oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I?
Another round of applause for Joan Hurwitz. Awesome. Okay, so the next piece I'll play today is a very familiar cello tune, but it's another songbird song, and it is The Swan, so I hope you enjoy. the next one, the song name is very, very fitting for being a song of the birds, given it's called Song of the Birds. And it was a Catalan song popularized by the great cellist Pablo Casals. So you'll hear some sounds in here that you might think are birds, but it's actually me on my cello, surprise! So listen out for the birds. Thank you very much. Okay, I have one last piece for today. It's by Ray Fawn Williams. It's just a little excerpt from his Lark Ascending. So listen out for a lark ascending.